Losing my religion, trying to keep up, but I don't know who I'm kidding. Okay. Sound chickadee check 1, 2. Hey guys, welcome to Super High Priestess. I'm Super High Priestess and welcome all you lovely people. Just to give you guys a little background, I am an ex-mormon. I've been out of the church for officially at least a couple years now, I think. I don't know. I'm not really keeping track because I'm just happy to be out. So I saw this movie, just the trailer. I haven't seen it yet because it doesn't come out until November. And I'm really excited because this is kind of picking on the Mormon church, which they greatly deserve. They greatly deserve. And I'm going to give my opinions about it. Here we go.
Hi, good afternoon, ma'am. Are you interested in learning about our Savior, Jesus Christ? Hi. Good afternoon. Hi, are you My name is Sister Barnes, and oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's typical. Now, I just want to let you guys know I have not been on a mission. I didn't serve a full-time mission. A full-time mission for guys is expected typically. It's a 2-year mission. For women, it is 18 months. So it's a little bit different. Guys are expected to go. It costs around $10,000 last time I checked. And the church, I think churches everywhere in general are on the decline. People are just leaving, especially millennials. Millennials and Gen Z even more so. People are just like, why? What is religion giving me anymore now other than control? Telling me what to do, telling me how to live my life, what kind of underwear to wear, what I can drink, what I am not supposed to drink, what I'm supposed to do and not supposed to do. The benefits of religion, I think, are becoming less and less apparent to the younger generations than ever before. They're not serving people. I mean, the Mormon church has vast amounts of wealth. Hundreds of billions with a B of dollars. And you know how much they give back in charity? Less than 1%. It's not even a full number. It's not even a one whole number. It is a fraction. And what was it? A couple of years ago, they came out and they were like, we gave $1 billion to charity. Well, $1 billion is a lot to me. It's probably a lot to you. But in the grand scheme of the entire pie chart of wealth in which the Mormon church has, that's not even 1%. That is less than 1%. They're absolutely despicable. Anyway, yeah, a mission is really hard. My brothers went on missions. It's hard work. And you have to, it's not normal life. So let's just keep going with this.
Are you interested in learning more about the Church of Jesus Christ?
Come on in.
We can't come inside unless another woman is present.
My wife is home. Does that count?
Great.
You like pie?
Yeah.
My wife has pie in the oven.
Oh, pie. Yes, very enticing because missionaries typically starve. They have to rely on the kindness of other members. They have to rely on the kindness of strangers, like even Hugh Grant here, his character. Even pie. I made blueberry pie for missionaries, and they loved it because they have such a meager budget. Typically, they have to eat ramen noodles, crackers, a very, very small amount of money that they get, even though they're paying their own way typically. And on top of paying, they're giving their time. 2 years for an 18-year-old guy when they could be going to college and starting their own careers in life. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
I could tell that you are a very spiritually curious person.
I think it is good to be religious, to find your faith in a doctrine you actually believe.
Well, our work here is done.
I will go and check on the pie.
This is actually a rarity that the missionaries are even let into a home. Now, there's some different speculation on why the church encourages missions and missionaries. And the truth is this. This is my truth. And it's probably the truth in general. Missions are not for finding converts. Missions are for converting deeply the missionary. Why? Missions are hardcore. They're very hard. You're up at 6:30 in the morning, and then you're down at 10:30 at night. As soon as you wake up, you have to be studying scriptures, which are very boring. I don't give a crap what anybody says. Scriptures, Bible, these are ancient texts that are very antiquated. They're out of date. They're very, very boring. And they're filled with riddles that don't make sense and are not applicable to modern society. Sure, there are some nuggets of wisdom. There are some truths in there. Absolutely, love one another. That's a great truth. Do people live it, though? In our country that proclaims to be Christian, how does our country love one another when we are funding genocidal wars all across the world? How is that Christian? How does that follow the teachings of Jesus? We are the biggest warlord in the world, America. Our politicians are nothing more than warlord lobbyists. And yet we call ourselves Christians. It's amazing. So missions in the Mormon Church are meant to deeply ingrain the missionary. It's not about convert retention, because convert retention is abysmal. The way that the Mormon Church gets members is through birth rates. If you are a baby and you are born into this nonsense, you are taught this nonsense, you don't know anything else from birth, you are more likely to stay in this cult than if you are a convert and then you join. And it's called a high demand religion for a reason. They demand 10% of your money. They demand what you wear. They demand that you wear crazy, annoying underwear that sucks. They demand a lot of your time. They demand that your family be ingrained in this also to keep you all involved. It is a system that is to get you in for life. So it's not about the converts, because convert retention is terrible, except for in Africa, because those people don't know any better. Unfortunately, they don't have the education. They don't have the internet. They don't have the way to find out. They don't have a way to fact check, really, because that's another thing. The church itself tells you, don't look at any other informational sources unless we approve it or we provide it. That is a huge red flag, because if the Mormon Church is true, any other kind of information out there that can be verified doesn't matter, because if it's true, truth is truth, right? And nothing can harm it. Yet, the church goes ahead and says, do not look at anything that we didn't say you can look at. Cult 101, control the information. So, yeah, missions are not about converting people. I mean, it is a little tiny bit, but it is about keeping the missionary a Mormon for life. Because mission rules are extra hard. You can't watch any TV. You can't do anything fun, except maybe play a little basketball on your P day. You are not to sightsee. You are not to drive anywhere out of the boundaries. Oftentimes, they take your passport to control if you can leave or not. I've heard so many stories about missionaries. I've heard so many stories about missionaries not being able to go home when they've had injuries, when there have been funerals for loved ones, like a parent or a grandparent. There used to be a rule where you couldn't even call home more than twice a year. twice a year call home. Yes, you can write letters once a week. And those rules have changed, but incredibly controlling. You're not supposed to talk about how the missions are hard. You're not supposed to talk about anything negative about the mission. So, it's incredible. So sleep, silent angel. Okay, so now these girls, because they're girls, you can't go on a mission if you're a girl unless you're 19 minimum. You can't, essentially, I don't consider a 19-year-old really a full mature woman. I'm sorry, I don't. You gotta have some shit happen to you before you're a woman. So now something dangerous. They are in a precarious and dangerous situation here. This is not that uncommon. I've heard so many stories of missionaries being in very, very dangerous situations. War zones, bullets flying across people's heads, gang territory. I've heard of so many missionaries getting injuries on their missions, not getting proper medical care. There are literally missionaries, Mormon missionaries, who die on their missions. I have talked to people who have been raped on their missions, both men and women being raped, being burglarized, their home being broken into. Because another thing the church does typically, not on every single mission, but most missions, in order for the multi-billion-dollar church to save money, they will put the missionaries in the cheapest parts of town to save money on rent. And usually those parts of town are not the safest parts of town. All kinds of dangers. And now these girls are in someone's home who is deceiving them, pretending to bake a pie, who's clearly not baking a pie. Oh my God, this is so typical. And actually, I just want to point out that this movie, Heretic, is based on an actual event that happened in Russia, where a Russian guy took two missionaries into his home and trapped them. And the church came out with an official statement in a newspaper, the local newspaper here. I think it's the Salt Lake Tribune, from what I understand. Sorry if that's wrong. But the church said, oh, these movies are sensationalized and they're not accurate. Well, you're just trying to cover your ass once again, church. Excuse me. The church doesn't like bad publicity because if there are two things that the Mormon church cares about, it's their money. Their money big time. They care more about their money than the people, for sure. For sure. They care about the money so much. The second thing that the church cares about is its public image. They do not like to be talked about in a bad, negative way. They don't like it. They like good PR. The worst thing that the church, well, they do a lot of bad things, but one of the worst things that they do is excommunicate people, not for rape, not for abuse, not for sexual deviancy, because they're sexual deviants. They excommunicate people for money fraud. So if anybody steals any money from them, they don't like that. And the second thing is people that speak out against them. I'm good because I left. But people like Nemo the Mormon, John DeLynn, they excommunicated them for speaking out and saying, hey, we don't like your homophobic rhetoric. You need to make some changes. They don't like it. So, well, I'm sorry. Nemo the Mormon has not been excommunicated yet, but he just got a letter for a disciplinary council, which means they probably are going to, which is unfortunate. So anyway, Now these girls are in a very dangerous situation. Surprise, surprise. Does the church care about their lowly members? No. And on top of that, just one other thing. The church typically sends out their high-profile members and members who are related to high leadership general authorities. They always send those guys and girls to wealthier missions, to safer places. Always. And leaders, the mission presidents, they get to live in big, beautiful homes. Sometimes they have cooks. Sometimes they have maids. Sometimes they have butlers. So it's a pyramid scheme. You got to get to the top of the Mormon pyramid. It's just like an MLM in order to get the benefits. The guys at the top get so many great benefits. But if you're like just a loser member, you have to pay tithing. You have to make all the sacrifices. Yeah, you're nothing. So let's keep going. And they're trapped.
You fit through this? You're crazy. We just need to go home.
I won't keep you if you wish to leave. But I want you to choose which door to go through based on your faith.
What does this have to do with us leaving?
Everything.
I think what's going on is Hugh Grant's character wants to see what they'll do if they believe in their faith so much that they're willing to die for it. And when I was very deep into this church, I believed it with all my heart and soul until I was about 34-ish, 35, maybe 33. I was about 33, 32, 33 when I started to wake up and see the nonsense. I mean, I always kind of felt that there was some things that were wrong and went against my intuitive senses so many times, because when you are born into this and you're told your whole life, this is the truth, you know it's true, get up in sacrament meeting and talk about how it's true, that gets to you as reality. But once you start thinking critically, things can really change. And sometimes it takes a gay family member to help you wake up. Sometimes it takes a personal decision for you to wake up. My story, I'll tell it sometime, but it took something to wake me up. It took something very personal for me to wake up about this, because you're just told how to live your life. You're told this is the truth, this is the only truth, this is the one truth in the fullness. Yeah, there's bits of truth everywhere. They would say, oh, well, that church has some truth, that religion has some truth, but we have the full truth. We're the one fully restored truth. And that's what you're told. And so I believed it, and I was deep in. I went to the temple. I married in the temple. I was very, very deep in, and I believed it with all my heart. And when you go in the temple, you make a lot of promises. You make promises, one of which this is probably the most diabolical promise of all, that you would be willing to sacrifice your own life if necessary for the church. And I was totally willing to do it. I was willing to do it. I was like, if someone came up with a gun and said, tell me you believe in this or not, I would have been willing to say, I believe in it, shoot me. I was there. I was absolutely there. And this is why I think religion is absolutely diabolical. It's been the cause for so many human problems in our world throughout history. Look at the Crusades. Look at what's happening in Israel right now. That is about religion. That is about people not being able to live in the same space because, well, I believe in this thing and I believe in this thing, even though it's almost exactly the same. I can't live near you. And tons of people are dying because of it. How is that good? How is that uplifting? It's not. So I think Hugh Grant here is seeing how far these girls will go in their belief systems. And I think he's going to break them down. I hope he does, because Mormonism is BS.
I think that we're being studied.
It will make your hearts beat faster. It may even make you want to die.
His face.
Do not be afraid. You will witness a miracle.
Cool. This looks cool as hell. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I'm going to see this in the theater and do a review for you guys because this looks really interesting and really good. Now, this reminds me a little bit of Saw. Like how Jigsaw would have all these elaborate puzzles to see what people would do in a situation. And I think it's kind of similar, though hopefully not as gruesome. The Saw movies were a little bit disturbing to me. And there are some biblical references in what Hugh Grant says, how he speaks. Like, you will witness a miracle. What was the other thing he said? Something about love. So I wonder if his character has been very jaded by religion. He was probably a character who was raised very strictly in a religion. Or maybe not at all. I think there has to be an extreme. Either Hugh Grant's character was raised very strictly in a religion, or it was totally atheist, and religion fascinates him. I think it's a toss-up. But this is going to be really good. It's going to be really interesting. I want to see what these girl missionary characters do. And man, I can't wait to see it. So I'll give a review in November. I hope it's a good movie. It looks cool as fuck. So yeah. Anyway, peace out, you guys.